It
Another
always ends.
Tuesday is here. Welcome to the Reload Show here on the Collective. I am here with Candido Diaz, aka Candid Mortgage Guy. I'm Sean Bichard at Will You Mortgage Me. We are sans Mark Sullivan today. Mark is having some technological difficulties today and was not able to make the show today. But hey, Candido and I think we're going to kick up some dust and have some fun. Candido, what's up, brother?
Darn, we got rid of all the Boston haters. Oh no, internet's not working. Oh man, sorry,
Karma,
Mark.
baby, karma.
Go Celtics! And this is I'm. You know what? Let's start off the show like this. I'm calling out Dan Smokeshoska and Kyle Draper, all huge Dallas Mavericks fans. I hope that you guys go ahead, pull it off, so that way we can make some sort of wager, because I'm feeling the Celtics right now.
Man, it's going to be an interesting one for those basketball fans out there. We've got the Dallas Mavericks on the verge of sweeping the Minnesota Timberwolves, and Celtics, man, pulling it off last night. Candido, man, I'm excited about for today's show. Today, we're talking about superheroes.
That's right.
Superpower.
I feel like I missed a really good opportunity to put on my daughter's Spider-Man costume. I mean, oh man, I could have worn the S on the chest.
It's all good.
Well.
But as always, we're going to kick the show off with our wins and losses. So, Candido, man, why don't you start us off? Tell us about your week. Give us the wins, give us the ups, give us the downs, everything in between.
Yeah. So, everybody, I feel like, was at some sort of gathering or cookout, something this past weekend. And I was no different. And my loss and win both come from those experiences. So I'm going to start off with a loss, just because I think it's kind of funny. It's always nice to hear other people's perspectives, right? So, when I get introduced, oftentimes people will find out that I work in mortgages and in real estate, and then a comment shortly thereafter will be like, wow, inventory sucks, or wow, interest rates are through the roof. And it kind of is what it is. I do my best to try and educate. And there was a lady who I met this past weekend, and she works at a bank, and I was talking with her, and she was like, yeah, I just don't see it changing anytime soon. And I said, well, as of right now, it looks like there's about a 50-50 shot of, the Fed cutting rates in September. That's what we're looking at. And she said, yeah, no, that's not happening. I'm like, well, I'm not just like throwing that number out of thin air. That's what the market believes. She's like, no, they're wrong.
She knows, Candido. She knows.
Yeah, I wish I had her crystal ball, because it was really funny. So, it kind of gives you a lesson that, look, it doesn't matter what you say. Sometimes people are going to believe what they want to believe. So that was I found that to be an interesting moment. My win. So, as you may or may not know, I work really hard on my social media. And last week, I did a video that was fun to make, where I was I used it off a CapCut. Somebody was falling off of a stretcher, and I tried to make it funny. Yeah, leave it to me.
Saw that one.
Yeah. So honestly, my little brother graduated from college just recently, so we had his party, and I lost track, but honestly, I had at least 7, 8, 9 people telling me how much they loved that video. That's a huge win for me, because you know what? It's okay, great. Those are all people. Most of them didn't comment, like, say anything about that. But in real life, they told me, hey, that was awesome. That was really funny. So, it's always nice to get commended on things like that, because look, I put a lot of time into that stuff. So to get that sort of cheerleading and backing was really cool, and it makes me realize, you know what, you just gotta keep on doing it, because there's a lot of people out there that aren't going to comment, like, or whatever, but they see it and they are watching. So those are my moments of the week. What do you got going on?
Dang, Candido, it's like your consistency pays off. That's weird. That's weird.
I don't know.
All right, man. I usually have a win and a loss, right? Like my shitty moments of the week. I've got nothing but wins this week, and it's not common. So if you're tuning in for the first time, just know that this is not a show of all wins all the time. But I had a couple of major wins. I'll go over one of them that happened yesterday. So enjoying the day yesterday, hopped on the laptop to get a little bit of work done. And I noticed that I had a new application. No idea who this person was, no idea where they came from. So I dug into a little bit, and I do a decent amount of a specific local down payment assistance program. So much so that I'm on their website, and occasionally I'll have people reach out to me. And this particular person, in lieu of reaching out to me, just went online on my application and filled out an application. Just so happens they're already under contract on a home, and I called them, and I hopped on my laptop. I wasn't planning on it. Hopped on my laptop, noticed the application, reached out, asked if they had a few minutes to chat. We had a great call. I guess they had already talked to 3 or 4 other people and 3 or 4 other loan officers. They let me know that the conversation with me was way more educational and enlightening and helpful than the rest of the conversations they had, which is always what I strive for. And I'm going to be putting together their numbers today, getting those out. I think I've got a really, really good shot of landing this deal that appeared out of thin air. So the fact that I'm on the website and consistently, I attribute it to my reviews, like my Google reviews. I keep those super high. If you don't know me, I'm fanatical about getting Google reviews from everybody in the transaction. And so people find me on this website, then they go look me up on Google, see I've got quite a few 5-star reviews. And a lot of times I get those phone calls. And so this turned into a potential contract out of thin air. Huge win. I'm going to wrap that up and try and tie a nice little bow on it today. That was the win, man. It was great.
Dude, that's like a win out of 2020 when deals were just falling out of thin air and just like, who's this person? Yeah, okay, whatever. Let's do this.
I got this. Absolutely. Well, Candido, man, again, excited for today's show. We are, we're all superheroes in our own right, whether it's you're a mom or a dad and you're a superhero to your kiddos. We all try to be superheroes to our clients. And with that superhero status, a lot of times comes superpowers. And so we're talking about superpowers today. So really what we want to know is what is your superpower? If you're checking us out on a platform that you can leave comments, let us know what your superpower is. But Candido, you kind of alluded to it in your win today. But tell us a story about your superpower, or maybe what you thought was your superpower and how that shifted.
Oh, absolutely. Every time I dress up as Mighty Mouse, So that was, by the way, that was my go-to Halloween costume in college. But anyhow, so I was having lunch, meeting with a realtor about a week ago, and it was awesome. We kind of know each other. We work together on one of the boards and that I sit on, and we were kind of feeling each other out, making small talk, and I was kind of pitching, so to speak, some of the strengths that I bring to the table. And everybody, I feel like, oh yeah, we could do it quick, we're communicate better than the rest, so on and so forth. And honestly, she said to me, she was like, I see all your stuff that you do on social media. Surprise, surprise, it always comes back to social. But she was like, you could tell that you're really consistent. You not only with what you post, but I mean, you're hitting 10,000 steps every single day. And I kind of just sat back and, luckily we have a pretty good rapport. I was like, thank you. Because you know what? I don't, it's not something that you would necessarily think of right off the bat, right? Like, what's your superhero or what's your superpower? Oh yeah, I post that I get 10,000 steps a day. Awesome. I don't think that that's really a huge win to a lot of people, but to me, I like to do it because I'm showing up, right? Every single day. I make that an absolute non-negotiable. But once you think about it, it's also something that I bring to my business, right? Every single day, I am consistently showing up. I'm making sure that I'm constantly communicating. And I try to bring that narrative throughout. And so, to me, when I first thought of this idea, because I thought to myself, this would be a great episode for the Reload Show. It's to me what your superpower is. It may not necessarily be what you think you're good at, but it might actually be what other people think you're good at. AKA, it's kind of your brand, right? So that's my superpower. And again, it's not something that I thought of and thought I guess would lead with, but it turns out, yeah, if I had to wear the S on my chest and say, "Hey, this is my superpower," yeah, consistency. That's what it is.
Well, you are Mr. Consistent, especially when it comes to your social media, man. Like you're just so methodical with how you put all that together. And I will say, when it comes to social, that is not an area of consistency for me. It's something that I feel like I'm pretty decent at when I do it, but it's not I'm not doing it at a consistent level. And and that's that could benefit me. I need to take a page out of your book for sure. Man, my superpower. So it's shifted over time, and I'm fanatical about client experience, and so I'm constantly putting systems and processes into place with that. I hitting clients and real estate agents, so I'm trying to always put systems or classes into place, and so ultimately, what kind of everything all boiled down to for me, as far as identifying my superpower, was everything that I do, whether it's in my business or in my personal life, I'm putting systems and processes into place. So now when I talk to, when I'm at networking groups or when I'm talking to real estate agents and we're talking, I ask them what their superpower is, and inevitably we come back to me and they want to know what mine is. Nowadays, my superpower is I help real estate agents implement systems, processes, and strategies to grow their business. And that is my focus, because within my business, I've put so much energy and time and focus on implementing systems and systems and processes and strategies. I'm not good at a lot of things, but when it comes to systematizing, creating processes to ultimately create consistency, right? And that is what I found to be like my passion is okay, I've got to create a strategy. And then once I've created a strategy, how do I create a system or a process around that strategy that allows me to be hyper consistent with that process? And then once I've done that, I go teach, that strategy or those systems or process to real estate agents. And that's really been my superpower. But it's really just been over the last, 3 or 4 years that I've really developed that. Early in my career, I was that typical loan officer flying by the seat of my pants, just, scatterbrained all over the place, trying to get business in, didn't have any specific rhyme or reason to what I was doing, didn't have consistency, didn't have intentionality behind what I was doing. And I would say over the last, 5 to 7 years, that's when I've really developed all of the above, that intentionality behind everything that I do. What is the result that I'm after? Does this strategy, system, process allow me to generate that result. And perfect example of that, I've been, I think I told you earlier before the show, Candido, I just launched my very first Facebook ad, and I was kind of like super broad with the original idea and design. And then as I got more intentional with it, I narrowed it, and until I have the version that I actually launched yesterday. So we'll see how that goes. Maybe a win for next week. We'll check it out. But that is an example of how those superpowers that I've kind of developed over the last 5 to 7 years resulted in a new strategy that I'm implementing, and I'll continue to refine it. So that way I can create a very specific strategy that ideally generates the results that I'm after.
Yeah, I mean, even before you said it, I was like, I really hope he doesn't go too far off the beaten path here, because you are extremely good at what you do. And you are 1,000,000% a systems guy. So I 1,000,000% agree with that, and know that is definitely your superpower. And how do you think you can kind of expand on it and continue to develop it to help bring you in more business? I know you had said you were just kind of experimenting with Facebook ads. Is there anything else that you could think of?
Yeah, so it's really just about the different strategies. Within the last few weeks, I've really been thinking about how I simplify the business, and we won't go. I could do a whole show on this, but really, in my mind, my business boils down to 3 core components. It's a system/strategy to love on my real estate agents and partners. So a real estate agent strategy, a past client strategy, and then a communication strategy. Really just having the communication processes in place. And so each of those segments can have multiple strategies within them, right? Like, for instance, developing new real estate agent relationships. That's not always going to be, linear in its strategy. I might have 3 or 4 different strategies to do that, whether it's teaching agent classes, whether it's, doing my open house strategy, which, for those of you watching, if you're not familiar with my open house strategy, check out some of the past episodes. I'm sure we'll talk about it again in the future. So there's going to be different strategies which within each of those segments. But and if I'm loving on, my partners and agents, and I'm building more relationships there, and I'm loving on my past clients and leveraging that segment to generate additional business, they already know, like, and trust me. So they're higher likelihood of sending, referring friends, family, coworkers. And then if I nail all of it together, glue it all together with incredible communication processes, I just kind of believe that's really the core of my business, and for all intents and purposes, the core of a lot of this mortgage business. So those are the 3 things that I'm working on to develop that power. Say, okay, well, I've got I've got these 2 agent strategies. Is there another 1 or 2 that it makes sense to implement? I could always be doing more with past clients. I just recently invested in a new technology to give to my past clients as an additional resource. So I'm creating some additional tools in that segment. And now it's just creating a consistent process that allows me to execute and generate additional business and revenue from that. And then communication is one of my strongest suits. I'm always developing and improving, enhancing my communication process.
I love that. And I think I would agree with you. And the thing for me, obviously, as I said, the consistency was kind of my superpower. It's not only showing up online but also offline. I made a major step, I think, in the right direction this year, when I made the decision last year to be more involved. So I'm on the board of a few more things. I'm at a lot more events. I want to, because I think I got a little bit too reliant on, trying to just show up online and think that was enough. So, for me, I've been staying consistent with trying to show up, do a lot of different events, and basically, kind of a double-edged thing. I want to make sure that I'm showing up. Yep, I'm in your face. I'm on your phone. I'm doing funny things or being educational. However, or a little bit of both, and also showing up at those events, being there in person. And I think a combination of those two things can really be powerful for me. And I know that it's already starting to show dividends. But the more I continue to do those things and show up right now, especially when there may not be as much business going around, that it'll pay off in the future, and come back tenfold. So that's what I believe, and I know that it's going to end up paying off.
Well, speaking to your superpower in consistency, Candido. So you've started to be more involved in chambers and networking groups and organizations like NAREP, right? And so speak to everything that you take on from a hyper consistent basis, which is fantastic. The consistency and the intentionality that you put forward in your activities has been fantastic to watch. So just in the limited time that you've really implemented some of these new strategies around networking and organizations and groups and chambers, what has your consistency, how is that reflected in what the feedback that you're getting in these groups, organizations, and networking groups?
Yeah, so for me, I would say it's definitely creating more relationships, right? And we all know the old adage that the person with the most friends does the most business. So, if anything, it's putting me in front of more people. And the nice thing is, because I work so hard on creating consistency with my social media, what I'm able to do is once I'm able to meet someone in real life, I'm then able to go ahead, connect with them on social. They see, oh wow, this guy's doing a lot of nice things. He's funny, he's educational, he's handsome. We should work with him. And so it's the nice thing is, because and obviously, I'm following up, and I want to go ahead, create those one-on-one situations where we go get coffee, uh, so on and so forth. But the nice thing is it's made it easier to kind of grow my following on social network by growing my following in real life. And just being able to show up in more places has created more opportunities for me. And it's been really exciting because honestly, it's completely turned my business around. Because while it may not be as much as I want it to be right now, yeah, I have business, and there's a lot of people right now in our industry that don't. So I know that it's going to continue to build and pick up as I continue to build and pick up more opportunities, to be at these different types of events and network with new people.
Well, Candido, something you said really just stuck out with me. And so you talked about leveraging, these groups and these networks that you're building and growing your followers, right? So essentially you're at the core level, you're integrating two of your strategies, right? You've got your social media strategy over here, and you've got your networking strategy, and you're integrating those strategies. And not to get too off topic, and maybe we can do an entire show about this, but integrating different strategies, to combining them to create more engagement, to create faster, more accelerated growth, I think is critical. And it's funny that you say it like that, because I've recently, like with the Facebook ads, I did exactly that. So I've got, for those of you who aren't familiar with Rebel IQ or Lead Pops, they do lead funnels. And so I leverage lead funnels in my business. And I've recently signed up for another technology that I have access to give, which is a money management and mortgage readiness app. And now I've got my Facebook ad. So what I've done now is I have my Facebook ad that drives people to my lead funnel. And then once they've completed that lead funnel questionnaire, when they complete it, it pops up with a thank you page, giving them exclusive access to this this money management and mortgage readiness app. So I've tied all three of these into a single strategy for this particular instance. And I'm layering the benefits or the strategies that I'm leveraging to try and maximize the business that I'm generating from it. So it's interesting that obviously it makes sense, right? Like, oh, I'm meeting people and I'm getting them to follow me. So, it's easy to understand on the surface, but the fact that you're layering that is helping you grow in both areas faster. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely. And I was just going to say, it sounds like you're creating another system, which just happens to be your superpower. So, yeah, it's one of those things for me. It's my wife often tells me, "Hey, Candido, you know what? If someone doesn't like you, that's okay. You're not for everyone." So
We're
it's
very aware of
it's
this, Candido.
yeah, it's okay. I have plenty of friends and plenty of people that like Boston, so that's okay. But it's just another example of, hey, if we meet in real life, I'm going to go ahead, try to find you online, so that way we can get to know, like, and trust each other even more, right? So I'm always looking for different ways that you can bring the offline or the online offline, but I don't know if you say that, but you basically bring the offline online, to try and develop the relationship even more.
It's just a two-way superhighway for you, Candido. That's all it is. That's all it
That's
is.
right, baby.
Cool. Gosh, that was, I loved it. Candido, I couldn't agree. Your superpower absolutely is consistency. Everyone tuning in, think about your superpower and sometimes maybe talk to the people that you know and care about. And maybe what they tell you is your superpower is a little bit different than what you believe it is. So hopefully you got a little something out of this episode. We always want to provide more in value than we take in payment, because we take zero in payment. So I guess we always want to be providing value. But thanks for joining us on this episode of The Relo Show here on the Collecting Coaching Network. We can't wait to be here next week. Let's see if we can't get Mark involved in that one. Thanks so much for joining us today, everybody, and have an amazing rest of your week.
Peace out.